Hey there. If you could spend time with any teacher or guide anywhere in the world, who would it be? Is there anyone that you've heard legend of, or who has some special techniques you'd like to learn, or that you can see is further along the path that you wish to walk along? Are there any books you really value or would like to get access to? Maybe they're sacred texts or secret works. Or are there courses or motivational things you'd really like to take part in? Perhaps what you'd really value is the most up-to-date research in science into the best lifestyle, or how to look after this body well, or how to best have relationships. Now, I think all these are wonderful things, really positive things. But I actually believe the best teacher above anything else is life. And I think learning how to listen to lessons of life and to fully engage with the special training it gives you is what should come first, before we start to look at other sources of information, insight, or empowerment. Now, I think this is very important, partly because I think when we choose what form of training to undertake, we often choose what we'd like to do, not what we could really benefit from. I've seen people in the past who, if you look at their life, have got a lot of things calling for their attention. Their body's not doing so well. Their relationships are very disharmonious. You can see their situation in life is getting worse. And when I talk to them, they're excitedly and proudly talking about how they're training to go to other higher places and learning to go out of their body or go into a sort of a deep trance. And I find myself wondering if actually this is a displacement activity. This is someone moving towards their imbalances as a means to avoid what they need to be doing. They could do with learning to be more in this body and being more aware in day-to-day life rather than being in sort of deeper trances. They could do with finding means in life to bring around a genuine respect from those around them through doing things the right way, rather than finding something exciting and impressive. So for this reason, I think it's really good to engage fully with everything that life has presented to you before moving on to higher practices or special skills. Now, before you turn off the video, ironically, I actually believe that this is the route to far higher attainment than seeking it directly. And as you listen to the video, I hope you'll come to have a vision of how this might work. But there are other reasons why I believe you should fully engage with this, with the here and now. You're born here. You're in this body. You've got this life. You've only got a limited time. Let's make the most of it. Now, let's look a little bit at what would it mean to be a good student of life? We can all visualize a good student in a traditional sense, They go and see their great teacher on the mountains. And what would a good student be like in that situation? Well, of course, they'd be fully engaged. They'd be respectful. They would listen and truly be open to learning and self-improvement. They'd give full focus and genuinely engage with the lessons and any missions or training they were given. So how could we do this towards life? That's what we're going to cover in this video. And the first thing to get us there we'd need to do is accept the teacher. So acceptance of the lessons and indeed of the school. Now, this may sound like a strange first principle. I'm asking, before we go on, that you should make note to accept life. But if you take some time and you look at yourself inside or you observe others, you'll see often there is a sense of upset rebellion or rejection. So you've got this body and there's a part of you that's frustrated and thinks, well, I didn't ask for this and now I've got to care for this body. I've got to feed it properly. I've got to exercise. I've got to rest it. I'm born into this society and don't like the things they're demanding of me, making me, act in certain ways and work and do things. I don't like the people that around me trying to make me do things and so on. So there may be a part of you that's saying no, or part of you that's saying, oh, I don't think I can. Now, this is an ongoing process, and indeed everything I mention is an ongoing process. But starting with a mission acceptance. Okay, I've been born into these circumstances. I've got this mind with its own talents and limitations. I've got this body with its own abilities and weaknesses. I've got this environment, this circumstance. I am here. This is the mission. Yes? Acceptance. Right. I accept my position. I accept that the mission starts from here, now. As you continue, you may have to revisit this now and again. You may actually find some of these things where you've got layers of resistance or excuses or whatever that are stopping you thriving in this environment. But accepting this is where it is. Yeah. And it doesn't matter how you view this. Maybe you see this life as a beautiful mission. You've been sent down here to help. Maybe it's a bit like a computer game, these are the challenges. Maybe it's an assault course for you. Whatever your view of it is how it is. You are in this circumstance. Acceptance of the mission. Acceptance of the teacher. Teach me life. I'm listening. I'm fully engaged. I'm ready to learn, advance, and evolve. So, what is the first principle that I would like to suggest you apply to your life from this moment on and from now on? One thing. From now on, I would strongly recommend you use your focus only on one thing at a time. you are to renounce multitasking. You are to fully engage with each thing you do. Now, this may sound very simple, but there's a lot to this. It's a greatly empowering, beautiful practice. At the moment, you are not using your full ability. There's a part of you pretending in certain areas that you can't do them. There's part of you using divided focus to keep away from things that you aren't fully engaging with. You have a lot more ability, a lot more power, a lot more strength than you are allowing yourself to use. You're lifting with one arm. I want you to embrace with all of you. Now, this is going to be an interesting path. When you start to fully engage with everything, you'll start to see the truth about many things. Make sure that when you undertake any form of task, you are clear that you will be fully focused for that period. And that you are going to put your whole being into it. Now, this doesn't mean being forceful. Whole being also means using good judgments. It might be that you need to be gentle and subtle and not so intense, or it might be you have to be very thoughtful. But make sure you're doing it to the whole of your ability. Protect yourself from distraction and misdirection. And there's going to be a lot of habitual distractions and misdirections that you'll find yourself doing, you'll need to let go of. Breaks where you watch a video or when you go and do something else for a while and so on. You need to let go of these, and to begin with, it will be interesting. Protect yourself from disempowerments. You find, strangely enough, people seeing you fully applied to things might find that uncomfortable. The sort of excellence will start to shine forth, and they might do things to try to distract you, or their mind might be so agitated they want to use you as a distraction. These are all parts of the skills. Cut out artificial distractions, create an environment for full focus. And do this without exception. When it's time to sleep, really sleep. When it's time to talk to someone, really engage with that conversation. Really make sure that you are communicating the best you can. When it's time to eat, make the best choices for your body. Make the right portions. Choose what you really enjoy. Really engage with that meal. When it's time to work, let go of everything that's from other spheres of your life. If you've got certain allotted times for things, make sure you are fully who you need to be in that zone during that time. Now, when you start to do this, you'll start to discover some interesting things about yourself. You'll be on the phone to your mother and you'll start tidying. And you think, stop tidying. One thing at a time. Fully listen to mum. Think, I'm wasting my time here. Oh. So There is some value in talking to your mum, but not enough that you think it requires full focus. You might want to have a look at that. When you're at work, you might find yourself doing something. You think, I'll watch a video at the same time. And you think, nope, not multitasking. We're trying to find our highest potential in every moment, turn that off, feel engaged. I feel resentment towards my employer. You might want to look at that. This practice will purify your heart. If you find that when you lie in bed, you're resistant to that healing and regeneration of your body, you may need to sort of harmonize those objections and look at them. If when you make love to your partner, your mind is on other people or other things, you might want to look at why you can't fully engage. This is an important thing to be aware of. And make sure whatever you're doing, you keep that primary focus in mind. Now, there are some things, where there might be need to kind of bat away minor distractions, or to maybe things where you've got to do a little bit of something else. You're driving, someone says, right, shall we go to this place? You need to answer that question, but the primary goal is driving. Sometimes there are situations where you need to abort mission or change what you're doing. You don't want to be in a situation you're saying, the house is on fire, but I'm not going to be doing that. I'm mowing the lawn, or I'm reading a book. I'm not open to. You may need to know when to bail out of one mission and do another. But make sure that that's an exception. It has to be something exceptional. It has to be something very big. Embrace the challenge and the joy of all things. You may not know this at the time, but everything is now your training. When you chop vegetables, do so with precision and brilliance. When you write your name, do this with detail and flair. When you negotiate or explain, do so with eloquence and with insight. This way, everything starts to improve. Your vegetable chopping teaches you fine precision with the blade. Your calligraphy, when you sign your name, starts to teach you how to create a detail and beauty. When you speak, this becomes your rhetorical training. You will start, if you start the practice of one thing, you'll start to see that there's a cross-pollination in your skills. How you do one thing starts to move towards other things. So that detailed movement, that beautiful flow, those eloquent words might start to come out in other things. Maybe you're training in fencing and you find your sword work has massively improved. Maybe there's an element to that rhetorical thinking that improves the mind, and when you're next playing chess, you've evolved to the next level with this. This cross-pollination is a very powerful thing. And getting into this mindset of one thing at a time, full focus, full engagement, is a great blessing on many levels. It will purify you. You'll find how often you go off target or you have mixed intentions, and you'll need to resolve those mixed intentions in your heart. Often, you'll need to redirect your mind back on target. There are many areas of your self-development you've put into the future. or you've excluded in some way. Now is the time. Now is the only time you have. The new regime can never be put in the future again. Full engagement now. Now, you will need to learn to choose your missions wisely. As your excellence starts to shine forth, people will come and try to pull you into doing things for them. Often people who don't want to improve themselves have found tricky ways to get other people to help. There are some missions that you have to undertake. Your body, your work, your living, your relationships. There are some which are just there. Above those, choose extremely wisely. You may feel a calling in a certain direction, and we'll talk a bit more about that under some of our future principles. If that's so, then you'll know your missions in life. If you haven't found your missions yet, just solve what's in front of you. Now, what are the benefits of this? I mentioned how purifying it is, how balancing it is, how you get to find your genuine self. When you don't cover things up with distractions or misdirections or promises of other things, you'll find what you're really enjoying, what you really aren't, what you really engage with, what you need to do, what maybe you've taken on that you need to let go of. You will achieve far more in that time than anyone else. And this is really important because to begin with, you might feel like you're wasting time because you're used to lots of activities going on. But no, when you focus on one thing at a time, you'll find that you start to perfect efficiency in that one thing. And you'll find that you do that one thing so well that you save time in other ways because you're doing that one thing, you're tidying up behind yourself and you're not causing any damage, that needs to be repaired or anything that needs to be cleaned up, and you're not doing half a job so you have to do more later on. You will find ultimately this saves a huge amount of your life. You will also find that excuses, and we'll talk a bit about more excuses start to disappear. So one of the big excuses you might be using is, I could do that better, but I just can't be bothered, or I just didn't really try. Well, now you do fully engage and fully try everything. Those are gone. You get to find your real ability on each level. Now, this skill also, it improves your memory. Because it's not bitty and all over the place, you will find your mind remembers what you were doing with great diligence, and this means that you'll know what you did last Thursday. You know what you did yesterday because it's not so confused with so much extra information, and your mind's got more processing time. And there's an interesting thing. If you give full dedication to each task, you will also find that the whole of you starts to come on board. You'll find your posture naturally adapts to what you're meant to be doing. You'll find your subconscious says, okay, so you do want to be better at this. Thank you. Why didn't you tell me this was the mission? You kept giving me lots of different messages. It's like your higher self will click in. And there's a very important thing, and this is not very early on, but this is a dedication for a lifetime. As you start to give everything your full focus, you start to go deeper within. So if you can imagine, let's just imagine engaging with people. Most people, they don't do much in terms of calculation. How would that person respond if I said this? Or what's that person like? Let me adapt my way of phrasing to the way they think and to their outlook, and let me think about their knowledge. Is what I'm saying really true? Is that going to lead to a good... Should this be said? Not many people engage fully. If you start to engage just with this one thing over years, you will start to find a higher level of skill in each thing. So with people, you'll start to adapt to them. You'll start to time things well. You'll start to sense. Every time you walk up to them, you'll sense kind of where they are with things. You'll tune into this. You'll find when you walk into a room ready to do a task, your mind's on that. So you kind of tune into what's happening, what the atmosphere is like. When you undertake the most menial of tasks, you're tidying, you start to feel the different sense of the objects and where they are and what they're doing, where they are. So this full focus starts to turn the whole of your life into training from the most mundane, what's the most efficient, what's the best way to do this, what brings the best outcomes, what brings the best results, to the higher. What's behind this? What am I tuning in? What's the ripple effect of what I'm doing? Now you will also find that there's a joy that is superior to any of this distraction joy, watching something in the background, listening to music, talking to someone, whatever. You'll find there's a joy in full engagement that really can't be described. And that there are mysteries and lessons in what you observe through this full focus. Now, the second principle, and remember all these principles are connected, is that of an attitude of always wanting to learn and advance. This is a really important key to what we're trying to do here. If you're engaging with a teacher, you would give them your full focus. You'd listen carefully to what they said. You'd try to remember lessons or make notes of key points. It's time to do this with every moment of your life and every day of your life specifically. So, at the beginning of each day, look at your goals for self-improvement, look at your goals for the day. Just take a few moments to plan them and to remind yourself what you've been taught already. Then in the evening, a bit of reflection. Was there anything you could have done better that day? Is there anything you learned about how to do things from your own practice, your own undertakings, or from observing others? Always be open to learning and start to remove barriers to learning. Now, this may sound very simple, but you might be surprised how much there is there. Here are some areas where barriers can be removed, which will be very beneficial. Let go of the idea of trivial. While you're here, you may as well be diligent with all things. Everything is an opportunity to learn. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing well. Imagine yourself undertaking everything in a thoughtful, balanced way to bring the best outcomes for all. And this can be anything as simple as just making sure you put your shoes in the right place when you come into your house, or always putting the keys in the place so you don't have to spend time searching for them. There are subtle vibrational things behind little actions, and small actions, like the keys and the shoes, can lead to big outcomes. It changes other people's behaviour, it changes your own life workflow, where you're not being distracted or tripping up over things. Everything is connected. This life is about perfecting your consciousness. All things are here to help you do this. I talked earlier about letting go of rebellion. And you will find this in this always learning. You'll find this. And there are many ways we hide our inadequacies. Watch out for these. One of them is a sense of disdain. So those kind of neurotic people who do it like that, or there's silly people doing that, or I'm not that kind of person. Okay, this disdain for success is something you are no longer permitted. Other people can do that if they're into failure. They're going to squander their time here. But this is really a mental block. No, nothing is beneath you or above you. You are the Alpha to the Omega. The toilet needs cleaning, where's the brush? The king's coming to visit, do his bodyguards need sandwiches? You are here for any role. Let go of the associations that people have with different tasks, status. You are there to fully do your duty and to bring goodness into every moment. The goal is to go beyond yourself, to expand what you can do. So you will come up against things that you've been telling yourself and others, I can't do this, I can't do this, I won't do this, I can't do this, for a long time. The aim is to thrive on all levels. So you will need to do things, that's the whole point, and to learn to be good at them that you haven't done before. Listen to life as your teacher, and you'll see praise. Praise from your teacher of life is success when it works. When you've got everything in order, the house is harmonious, where financially you're doing well, where the relationship's working, you will get praise. Life will tell you when you've done something right. Likewise, listen to reprimands. When you mess up, you'll know about it. And listen to this. So easy to blame. Yes? To blame other people. To blame the circumstances. No, your goal is to thrive here as it is. To bring goodness here as it is. So there's no use being on the moon and moaning that it hurts when you take your helmet off. That's where you are. You've got to thrive where you are. Keep looking for success. Keep looking for good outcomes. Looking for better ways of doing things. Everything is your teacher. Everyone is your teacher. From a young child showing you how to play properly, to the wise sage teaching you, the doctor, and to the dog digging in the garden, to the bird flying in the air, to the plants growing. You can learn the principles of marketing from fruit. You can learn the principles of diligence from the heron. Everything is here for you to learn from. Open yourself up to that. Pay particular attention to anything you find reprehensible in others and eliminate that from your personality. Be particularly careful to emulate and aspire towards those things you see in others as admirable. Imitate them, learn from them, and watch and repeat. Now, before we move on from the cultivating attitude of learning, let me recommend the following. Learn to enjoy learning on all levels. Listen to the teachers you are sent. When people are talking to you again and again, learn from them. Everything is interesting, everything is valuable. Look for what you can learn from what's just there before you start having to open books. Watch out for these funny, tricky things you can do with your mind to stop you learning. They're more common than you might think. Goal inversion. Sometimes when people are frustrated or they lack confidence or they're just plain angry, they will do a strange thing when they invert the goal. They're sitting in their shop, they're not selling enough, they're upset they're not making money, and when you talk to them, they'll say, I hate Tesco's, they're just interested in making money. Okay. Now, I'm not saying you can't criticize other people's means of doing it, but don't confuse the goal as the problem. Yeah. You'll see this in other areas. You'll say, all that person wants to do is exactly what I'm trying to do and failing. You'll hear this goal inversion. Look out for it in yourself. If you find yourself criticizing others, and behind there's a sort of slight sense of jealousy or frustration. Look out for whenever you find a situation where you know you're right, but the whole world needs to change. I made these wonderful YouTube videos, but the whole world, they're such Philistines, they don't know the value of them. Look out for those funny things where it turns out you think you're correct. Let go of this. This is an excuse for you not being able to adapt to the environment. This is a way of you trying to protect yourself from acceptance that you're not communicating effectively or doing what you really need to do. Really have fun looking for repeated errors. You find crazy things, you've been trying to shave in the shower for 2 years and it never works. You're always halfway, driving to work and you see they've missed a bit. That never works. Why am I still doing it? Look out for those silly patterns. God, that person's always nasty to me when I go and see them. Why am I going to see them? It's been years now. So you will be able to analyze these in a new sense. It's time to change. Look out for blaming others. You're in charge of your emotions. You're in charge of your actions. You look after you. These are some areas just to keep an eye on because these are barriers to learning. Use this interest in learning to overcome them and be willing to ask questions, be corrected. You are not basing your self-esteem on knowing more than everyone. You are diligently trying to learn in every moment. So the next principle is that of focus. Now you've undertaken the first 2 tasks, you've got used to focusing on one thing at a time. You've got used to having an attitude of always learning and always improving, even in small things. You're looking to improve. You've got that sense of improvement in everything you do. Now it's time to up your abilities and to up your focus. You need to practice meditation. You need a meditation routine. There's plenty of places to learn this. You need to hone the tool of your trade. It is as important for you to meditate daily as it would be for somebody to maintain their tools of their trade. You must sharpen the blade if you're a samurai. You've got to stir the concrete if you're a builder and make sure that everything's fit for purpose. So a meditation practice, morning and evening, where you practice the ideal state of mind for doing things. Now, once you've learned meditation, start to apply these principles to what you do. This would mean, before you do a task, you get a clear picture of what the goal is, what is the meditation on, what is the outcome you're seeking. Then you prepare the space. So you get all the equipment and you put everything in order. You notice, some people do this, perhaps a lot of older people do this. When you're young, you think, right, I'm going to paint the walls, and you just get the paintbrush and you start painting. There's stuff all over the floor, and oh no, and you've painted, before you know it, you've painted yourself, you've painted the floor, you've knocked over this, oh no, the dogs ran through the paint. You look at the older person, they say, right, painting the room. They put down all the newspaper on the floor, they get some gloves on, they put they wash down the wall, they put down the masking tape, they lock the dog away, they do the test. You need to speed up, so you're doing this now, not sort of after a few years' time. So just as a meditation practitioner would prepare the room, would make sure it's tranquil, would lay out the sacred objects or the bell, or get their beads, and dress in their meditation, put there down the cushion, you're going to prepare the space and make sure you have all the tools. All the tools is quite useful, all the things needed for this. Yes, if it's something like cleaning, you're going to have the cloth, you're going to have this. You probably by now have a little bucket that's got it all in, so you don't have to keep searching for them because you're improving in every moment. You're going to do that to begin with. You won't suddenly get halfway through the job and realise you don't have what you need. Then you've got the goal straight. You've got the items, you've got the space. You're going to time this with full focus. You're going to see, well, how much time have I got? I've got an hour to do this, an hour and a half, and you'll time it like your meditation practice and do this as training. And this is the same at work, your emails. Right, okay, get the environment right. Get everything you need, yes. Make sure everything's space, it's fully charged, you're there, you're ready. Calm the mind, set your good posture, let the breathing, full focus. This is the way to keep improving and to take your practice to a higher level. And you will do this with everything from the most mundane to the most sacred. And as you practice, you'll start to find where these really lie. Keep on mission. In meditation, if your mind drifts off, you come back. You'll start to learn to develop a flow, and in time, you'll start to develop a oneness. If you do undertake this training, your real abilities are going to start to shine forth in a way they can't be ignored. Just imagine for a moment, that person who's always on that one thing, so they're doing it with their whole being, never doing anything with half an effort, always applying and always there, but always learning. So in the moment they're seeking to improve. They're listening to the world. They're learning from others. So they're always improving in every single moment. And now they're starting to open a higher level of focus through their meditation practice and applying their meditation and practice to life. You will start to see what you do shines out at its level of ability. You'll start to see your diligence does so much in life. Your great energy does so much in life. Because when you recover far better than anyone else does normally. When you consume food, you consume in a perfect way the right diet. When you work, you do so fully with your whole body and your whole mind. And that's very healthy for you as well. When you learn, you really learn. When you listen, you really listen. And all these things start to join together. They start to join together so powerfully that you become talented at being talented. You didn't know it, about 3 of the things that you've been dedicating yourself to have made you supremely brilliant at something you haven't tried yet. All that time when you were answering your emails, you really thought about exactly what should be said to this person. You really tried to answer every single question they have in turn. You've tried to preempt anything they might need. So this email was absolutely everything they needed. That's solved completely. That diligence has become a form of perception, whereby now you're far more in tune with the needs of others, and you're far more in tune with how to phrase things so well. And so you become far more influential and powerful in your words than you ever thought you could be. Now, not only is this excellence starting to go to a higher level, you also start to see things in a more subtle way. You might start to notice there are big patterns in life, and that certain things lead in certain directions. You can apply gentle pressure, a small action, to being a big change. Our next principle is genuine engagement. Now, I mentioned that all these are interconnected, these different principles. Genuine engagement is where we started, but it's also where we go. A full engagement in life. You're here, really do it. There are some things you may need to let go of. Calm down your talk. Let go of replacement words, words which are filling in for inadequacy. Many people use boasting or lies or statements of good intention rather than doing it. Show, don't tell. In life, actions, not words. Keep your words few and well targeted so you don't devalue the currency. This means that if you want to express something generally, do it genuinely. If you watch people, you'll see they often use words to replace things. Hello darling, I got you this card. Didn't have time to make a good one. I wanted to do something really big, but sorry, things going on. More words which are designed to enhance the card, which I know isn't what is worthy of this position. Do the poem, make the card. Sorry, I'm really sorry I'm late. I did really, really want to be here. Be there. Calm down the talk, and you'll find that some of that talk is a replacement for some other things. You may be using flattery to replace genuine effort towards someone. Yeah. You may be lying, and you may be surprised how often you're boasting and lying and doing things just to fill in for things where you either won't do enough or can't do enough for someone else's standards or for your internal barometer. These things will have to balance out, but let go of all the displacement words. Yes, use words only when words are the best option. Normally, your better action is to do what you're doing with excellence. Let go of distracting things that waste time. A lot of people who are saying, I'm really sorry, I wanted to do this, or I never get a chance to do this valuable thing, have been pulled into hypnotic things which are designed for that purpose. They're spending 4 hours a day watching television or things on YouTube or social media or playing games and things. These things are also replacement things. The game gives you a sense of success. I always joke with my friends who played The Sims, you go around to their house, and the house is absolutely looks like someone's burgled it, and they're sitting there living on Monster Energy drink and in their underpants playing The Sims, and their Sims got a beautiful life and going to the gym and lovely clothes and a car and everything, and all the attention's gone into this pretend thing that's designed to replace the feeling of success. If you take those away, if you don't have an outlet for a sense of success, it'll force you to get success in real things. Likewise, get rid of any substances you take or drink that give you artificial happiness. You want to plug into the real stuff now. You deserve the real stuff. Let go of other replacement things. I often think, I see young guys and they're so excited by pictures of women and stuff. And I think, guys, all that effort into all this sort of animation of women and pictures of women and women, put that into trying to woo an actual woman. Actually aim to sleep with a real woman instead of all this displacement activity. And I think there's other displacement activity, hateful stuff is often a thing. So, rather than getting on and making the world better, you can blame someone, and it's very good, and you can get that kind of act. And we'll talk a little bit about negative emotions in a few moments as well. But let's first talk about embracing emotions in general. It's all great, we've got this lovely Zen practice, they're called Ichigo Zami, one thing, that's our beginning. You've got our always learning, that's a lovely thing, you're always improving in every moment, that's a superb kind of thing. Then we have this great meditation practice. This is, I can't explain to you how powerful this is. This is like you've been driving in the first and second gear and you're going to find there's a few more. For the rest of your training. But you're going to need to open your heart. And through this, I've deliberately expressed things that are quite emotional rather than, ambitious goals to do with the material world, because this heart opening is going to be the key. You've got to be able to experience the joy and the grief and ups and downs. You've got to be able to do that without having your composure and your dedication to improvement and bringing goodness broken. And there may be some aspects of this you've kind of closed down, but you've got to put your heart into it, to be able to get that full focus, to be able to do that one thing, to be able to do that learning. You've got to be able to open yourself up to life and be able to utilize that all, because almost all these emotions you'll find naturally help you. But what are the ones that don't seem to be naturally healthy? What about the ones that don't seem very useful? Well, if you are really to take this practice to its highest level, you need to embrace your dark side. You will find there are some emotions that must be recruited to help you. And I mean all of them. For me, with a big mission or challenge, I need to get a bit upset with myself. That upset with myself, it moves, opens up more focus and ability. And I'm not saying that upset with yourself can't be unhealthy for some people, but for me, it's all good. Yeah, it's not trouble. It's the signal that it's time to do this stuff. Put your demons to work for goodness. That's their purgatory. If you find yourself jealous of someone and they've achieved something genuinely good, use that jealousy to secretly compete. You'll find it strange. You think doing this might make it worse, but you're kind of healing it by giving it the right goal. Because in truth, that resentful kind of jealousy is actually admiration gone wrong. So imitate that success, starts to heal it. Now, I'm not saying you need to do this all the time. Often you can just correct minor emotions. But if you've got some big things that, are not immediately banishable, they need to be given a big task in your life. So if you've got a sense of, let's imagine, people say you've got a chip on your shoulder. If you've got a kind of, I'll show you kind of sense of, I've never had any help, I've never had anything. You can see some people do take it and say, right, I'm a self-made man, I've done it all myself, I'm so great, I'm getting on with it. Some people do that. And eventually it'll work itself. These sort of confused versions of things slowly generate into something nicer. But don't let it go without carrying its own weight, It's there, put it to work. It wants to do something. Find a positive expression. Think about what the good expression is, what it's really after. Once you've got these principles all in alignment, including your genuine engagement, you'll start to find some wonderful things. You'll start to be able to listen to your teacher directly. You'll start to be able to see why. Oh, that's why I was born in this circumstance. That's why I've got this body. This is a perfect school for me. Did I miss that? That was so obvious. You'll start to see what you should and shouldn't be doing. Remember, sort all the basics first. Whatever the next challenge is for you, just straight in front of you, solve that. If you keep doing that, you will find higher goals start to appear. You'll find that your force of mind from all that training starts to become extremely powerful and persuasive. Just think about this. I'm asking you to undertake training in every moment to cultivate a state of mind whereby every single thing has your full, genuine engagement. Where in that moment, you're fully on target, you've got emotional connection, you're learning, and you're evolving. You'll find that no one practices as much. Soon, you'll find that all things you're doing are practicing all things you're doing. You will find there's a higher aspect. When others, they spend a few hours every week working on their sensitivity or and maybe a few hours every month working on their focus, where they try their best to learn special skills in certain moments. You're doing it all day, every day. When you're trying to be quiet, not to wake someone up, you're really trying to be quiet. So you learn to be stealthy if you need to be. When you're trying to remember something, you really try to remember it, so your memory is elevated. When you try to work something out, you're sensing on different levels, not just you calculate with your mind, you feel with your inner self, you learn to tune into your intuition. This starts to become part of your day-to-day life. When you do something to bring an outcome, you start to do it on all levels. And you'll be amazed how persuasive and powerful this becomes. Now you must learn to be extremely pure and genuine with your intentions, and make sure that the predominant wish of your heart is always to bring goodness to all around you, and that your intentions are always good. As this path develops, and as you continue to enter into your higher potential, you will see success in all levels of your life effortlessly. And soon, before you know it, you'll get to climb that mountain and sit directly before your teacher.